Welcome back to Are You a Fan, where we explore individual characters from your favorite sci-fi, action, and fantasy genres. A big thank you to MoonBound Productions for supporting today's episode. If you would like to express your support, please like and share the show. Here's your hosts, d-rael and Joker.
Okay, Joker, got a question for you.
Okay.
Who do you think would win in a fight? Thor, Zeus, or Raiden?
I feel like between the three, I'd probably put Zeus and Raiden at the top. Being more of, in their pantheons, at least in Zeus's pantheon, he is the top god. I mean, and then Raiden at some point becomes an elder god, so I'm sure he's got the power to keep up with him.
I mean, I see your point. The only reason I wouldn't put Raiden up there at all is for an elder god and for such a godly being. I've never seen anybody get their ass kicked so many times.
I mean, have you seen Thor's movies?
Yeah, but that gets into, they're not gods, they're aliens, and yeah, we're getting weird details with that one. So anyway, but that does tie into this week's character. We are doing Raiden from Mortal Kombat, the Thunder Lightning God. Okay, let's get into the real world. Raiden, based on the Japanese deity Raiden, I can't read that.
This is another one, similar to our Scorpion Sub-Zero, where there may be some names that get butchered.
We apologize to anybody that is offended. But anyway, I also did find an interesting fact about that. Apparently one of the creators was actually going through an art museum.
Yeah, and he was going through trying to think of ideas for a new character.
Yep, and that's when he found the lightning god,
I guess he found
Raiden?
Raden? I don't know. But being of Asian dialect, it could be very different too.
Yeah, so we're gonna stop trying to say that name.
I think that's also the only name that we'll have an issue with, to be honest.
I think we should be good after this.
But yeah, I guess he found a statue of the god, and that's when he's like, we're using that.
Hell yeah, let's talk about inspiration striking like lightning. Hey. Okay, it is Raiden. Our producer/editor just informed us. Because there are things on the internet that actually tell you how to pronounce things. Okay, anyway, moving on. Raiden would debut in the original 1992 game, and alongside Sub-Zero and Scorpion has appeared as a playable character in every generation of Mortal Kombat, with the exception of being in the mainline title Mortal Kombat 3 in 1995 and its first update, Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. Huh.
Yeah, so they're kind of like the trinity of Mortal Kombat, where there's been the only characters to actually appear in every generation.
That's pretty cool. I mean...
And there are others that have... I guess others have appeared in cameos, but not as playable characters.
True.
But yeah, he's the only... They're the trinity of, we're going to be a playable character in every one.
Yeah, except for apparently, 2 games here?
At least mainline titles, but there's probably a game somewhere in that generation that he obviously appeared in.
True.
No idea what game, but because there are too many of them out there.
And he was created by Ed Boon and John Tobias. Honestly, folks, if you listen to our Scorpion/Sub-Zero, there is not very much else real world about his creation. Just that little, going through an art museum and finding a statue of a thunder god and being spoken to in an eldritch tongue that nobody else could hear.
Isn't that just kind of what art is?
It's entirely what art is. I mean, heck, right now we're looking at a screen that lights up and we're hallucinating. Anywho, moving on to In-World.
When Earthrealm was young, Raiden would be the protector. He fought the rogue elder god Shinnok, who wished to overthrow his fellow gods in a war and threatened to destroy Earthrealm. With the aid of the elder gods, Raiden managed to defeat Shinnok, then banishes him to another realm and secured his amulet of power in a secret location.
Which I will say, because I've heard a few people bring up, like, secured the amulet, but that plan ultimately failed. It still stayed hidden for like a few thousand years.
Yeah, and that was one we touched base a little bit on with Sub-Zero, because he was the one that found it and stole it back. Yep.
Beat the butt out of freaking 4 or 5 elemental gods.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He hid the amulet and had 4 gods guard it. The gods of wind, fire, earth, and water.
What's that band? Chicago? Or
Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. Looks like they picked up an extra singer.
That's all I could think of when I read that.
Same. I mean, what were the challenges? Breakdance fights?
I mean, maybe. Have you seen some of the martial arts?
True.
Some days it feels like they're just breakdancing.
Capoeira, man, all the way. Okay, and what else we got here?
To fulfill his role as a protector of Earthrealm, he would begin gathering warriors for the protection of Earthrealm from various threats, and also for the Mortal Kombat tournaments.
I mean, it's pretty straightforward.
It really was, because obviously you can't protect it all by yourself,
I mean, also the fact that he's technically not even allowed to compete in the tournament unless challenged correctly. At that point, he'd just be standing at a portal as they all just walk past him. He's like, stop! And they're like, we don't challenge you. No.
Right. To which he would receive an invitation of his own to the first Mortal Kombat tournament, as he would assume a human form to compete because he knew the threat the tournament posed to Earthrealm's future.
Which is pretty interesting. Because, I mean, I crack up because when I read that, it literally said he took a human form so as not to freak out his other humanoid allies.
So I want to know what these gods look like then. Are they like gods of light like some of those shows do?
I was going to say, if we're going by the 90s movies, yes, they are balls of energy. But that was a 90s movie, and I don't put too much stock in it. So, yeah, they were balls of energy in there. I think they all kind of, like, I don't know, because, like, the Earth God in the new game, he's literally just made of dirt, but he chooses to make himself look like a human. Is he just dust in the wind otherwise? Like, that's a good question. Also, how much more powerful would he be if he just said, screw this, I'm laying loose on the body?
Honestly, he'd probably be a whole lot more powerful.
This is a guy that I've seen in videos straight up wreck people through bridges, so I'm just saying. Probably could have won the whole tournament. We could have avoided a lot of this shenanigans. But nope, gotta be courteous. He wouldn't be too involved, only making sure no cheating was done, which seems to be more in other media as he was heavily involved in the games. So you were mentioning that to me earlier.
I mean, in the games, he takes the mortal form multiple times through the timeline, and he is heavily involved in these tournaments. But it's like the movies, and I'm pretty sure some of the comics, like, and those is where he mostly has his protector role where he can't be involved. I mean, because you can't have him as a playable character in a game to where he can't be involved.
And that actually makes sense as far as mechanics go, as far as like storytelling mechanics. In game, yes, he's gonna have to seem more active because otherwise, it's kind of just that. It's like getting the boss character at the end of a game, and you're like, well, this sucks.
Right.
Okay, let's moving on. Shinnok would escape the Netherrealm and wage war on the gods. Once again, this time the war would also be fought by mortals with Liu Kang, uniting Earthrealm's warriors under the banner of the Thunder God. Raiden's force of light emerged successful, would be granted the status of Elder God after this war.
Yeah, this would be the first time he'd really become an Elder God himself. Because he'd have the God form, but now he was a little bit more up on the tier.
Yeah, and give him a little bit of a power boost, a little bit more status. Get those fancy new
robes.
I don't know what energy balls wear, but new sparkle. Because of his status as Elder God, he was powerless to stop Shao Kahn and Quan Chi from killing Liu Kang. This would cause him to renounce his title, angered that the other Elder Gods would only sit and watch. What'd you do? You did nothing. You can't really...
He had the same issue. He wanted to, unlike the other gods, but because of his status, he couldn't do anything.
I mean, Raiden, big picture, man, big picture. This is all insignificant. It really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of reality. And you're supposed to be a god. Start thinking godly, bro.
So yeah, after this all happened, he would go through multiple more tournaments, more wars. Like, this section of his story in the original timeline, there are so many wars that he was fighting in and dealing with Liu Kang and all the other heroes of Earthrealm. But there is way too much. I was not writing that all down.
Okay, moving on.
So, after the Battle of Armageddon, he and Shao Kahn became the last two combatants standing, and they fight on top of the Pyramid of Argus? I'm assuming?
Yeah, let's go with Argus.
Shao Kahn would easily defeat Raiden, but before Shao Kahn landed his final blow, Raiden would use the shattered remains of his amulet to send his past self a very cryptic message, stating only he must win. Yeah, you gotta love
what was the classic thing that CinemaSins always says? A pronoun game. Yeah, pronoun game. That's what it is. Sorry, CinemaSins, still in a line from you, but that's a sin. Pronouns. You tell us who that all this new timeline, the problems could have been solved if you just said, let Shao Kahn win.
Yeah, pretty much the entire new timeline could have been done very differently if he knew who he himself was talking about.
Exactly. I mean, it makes sense. Like, he thought it was Liu Kang, because Liu Kang became a big target for everybody to try and take out. He had to do a lot of goalie defense.
But you got a guy like Liu Kang who's winning multiple tournaments. He kind of just keeps putting a target on his own back.
I mean, it's what the champs do. And I get it. We gotta write a story. Write better. As I half-assedly take notes on the character.
Yeah, but even then, even compared to his original timeline, Raiden's new timeline got so chaotic. And just because he would receive the message at a tournament with Liu Kang, and all he got was like disjointed images from the future. And he would try to use those to intervene, but it would end up having very unexpected and nearly disastrous consequences, with majority of the heroes being killed or captured or turned into robots, such as the younger Sub-Zero.
Yep, I remember seeing that, yeah. Younger Sub-Zero would have completely avoided that fate had Raiden not intervened.
I was like, so many of his heroes died because he tried to intervene. And he tried to change things off of really bad images.
And I mean, arguably they were all going to die anyway, but they would have died a lot later.
And likely in very different scenarios.
Exactly. It's ultimately, kids, when messing with the timeline, just don't.
Let's just not.
Just don't.
Do not take a page out of Barry Allen's book. Do not mess with the timeline.
Yes.
Just leave it alone.
Leave it alone. It's done nothing to you.
And all you're going to do is screw something up.
Yep. Okay, let's start with the first of many mistakes he would make. At this point, Raiden would start his manipulation, first of which was trying to convince Scorpion not to kill Sub-Zero. which he failed at, and ultimately would lead to, instead of Scorpion wanting to protect the younger Sub-Zero, it would lead to him wanting to kill him.
Even more.
So, that's one for worse.
Yeah, it was all bad.
It really is. Where's the TVA when you need them? Loki, what are you doing?
Wrong universe.
Fair. The whole time he believed the message was about Liu Kang when it was really about Shao Kahn. As we did discuss, he would realize Shao Kahn actually has to be allowed to merge the two realms, as only then can the Elder Gods intervene. This would put Raiden in direct confrontation with Liu Kang. Because we can't just sit, talk, Same thing we talked about in the Scorpion and Sub-Zero. One conversation could have solved this.
Oh, yeah.
But fighting game got fight.
Oh, exactly. And I mean, you got a hero like Liu Kang. He's not going to want to just let it happen.
Yeah. He's got to be that aggro, like, no, we got to fight. We got to defend us. It's like, dude, we're losing.
I'm not going to think long term. We're going to fight now.
Yeah. He's a warrior. We didn't say he was a war strategist.
No, God, no.
Okay, so yeah. He'd get in conflict with Liu Kang, who had become disillusioned with the mounting body count as a direct result of Raiden's actions. I mean, that is a valid concern when, this elder god starts telling you, like, guys, I got a message from the future right there. Right there, I'm already hesitant to believe what you're about to say.
Yep.
But you are a god, so I'll listen. If you do this, we can survive this. Everybody dies. I think our god lost his mind. So I definitely get Liu Kang's like, you've been wrong about everything.
Yeah, I would have been very weary of Raiden at this point for sure.
It's one of those, like, I want to make fun of Liu Kang for, not letting the realms merge, but considering you watched all your comrades die in front of you because of the actions of this god, and the god is now telling you, no, we gotta let him merge them. No, I don't believe you.
Right.
Okay, so Raiden is forced to defeat Liu Kang in combat to prevent him from interfering. Whilst Liu Kang attempts to kill Raiden, Raiden accidentally kills Liu Kang with Raiden's electricity reacted with Liu Kang's fireball incinerating him. I'm pretty sure some chemist out there just had an aneurysm.
I mean, it sounded like you did too as you were trying to read that.
That's not how.
Yeah, but it's magical fireballs and magical lightning.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
when you put it in that context, I can see it happening.
I guess if we throw the magic element in there.
And the fact that Liu Kang can even shoot fireballs, that's pretty magical on its own.
Fair. I will concede that point. I don't know, Raiden. I don't know what to say.
It's just more proof that he shouldn't have been trying to intervene, because all he did was end up killing one of their heroes. Like, Raiden just keeps screwing up more and more as this thing goes on.
Also, for a protector of Earthrealm who should know the bylaws of this entire tournament by heart.
I don't think this was exactly tournament related anymore.
It wasn't, but that is a rule, though. That is a rule about it, though. He was not allowed to conquer and merge the realms. Was part of why the tournament had to happen. He could wage war on it. He could murder everybody here, but actually conquering it was against the rules. I know, that's real loosey-goosey. It's basically a lot of hand wiping on the Elder Gods there.
That's exactly what it was.
But basically, I feel like that's laziness on their part. They're like, do we have to? It's like, he's merging the realms. Okay. Well, we got this. Okay.
Which would come later as Shao Kahn would be allowed to enter the Earth Realm, and an emotionally shattered Raiden would concede ultimate defeat, as Shao Kahn would proceed to dominate Raiden almost the exact same manner as he did in the Armageddon aftermath. Only this time, the other guys finally would intervene and restore Raiden's strength. So, they finally decided, we're going to get off our butts here and do something.
I mean, about time on their part, which I totally get it. You guys are elder gods. You are seeing the big picture of reality. This really probably means very little to them.
Oh, yeah.
But,
though in their final battle, they would engage where Raiden would actually end up emerging victorious this time, where Shao Kahn got destroyed by the elder gods. But Raiden would become deeply saddened by the cost of lives and would blame himself for their loss. Which, I mean, you should. You sat there and let them.
Yep. And also, where's that little time trick? Good, I don't know. I mean, at that point, what are you going to do? I do, however, find it, I do not classify this as a win on his part. Because the Elder Gods killed Shao Kahn.
Oh, yeah, no. He just kind of kept him busy.
Yeah. Which, Elder Gods, can you speed it up a little bit? You're literal eldritch beings of reality. Come on. But I will say, though, something that I didn't really put in here because it's more about his future self. In both timelines, kind of, he does actually become an evil version of himself.
Actually, in the new timeline, becomes a very big thing in the in Mortal Kombat 11 game, I think it was. It was one of the last two games, or the last
when
two.
He straight up walks into the other dimension, throws the head of their ruler on the ground, and says, "If any of you step foot in my realm, I will end you."
Yeah, he definitely lost his mind a few times.
Oh yeah. Like when he, at one point, brought Liu Kang back from the dead as a zombie and sent him after people to murk them. Yeah, that happened.
Yeah, they got some interesting stories in that new timeline.
I don't even think that was the old timeline.
Well, from what I read, that was on the new one.
Is that the new one?
Yeah.
I can't keep track of these timelines. The Flash wasn't this difficult.
It really wasn't.
It really was not. What are you? That was my biggest.
Even Scorpion and Sub-Zero weren't this difficult.
Dude, that was
their new timelines.
Yeah, that was my big issue too when I played through all the games. I once tried to look up the story of all the games. I'm ADHD and I couldn't keep up with it. Let that sink in to anybody out there who knows. So let's move on now. Weapons. You want to take this since I'm probably have to take Fine Styles?
Oh yeah, you definitely have to do that one. So throughout the different games, he wouldn't really have a lot of weapons. He would use a warhammer in one, and he had a staff in, it was I think 4 games throughout the series, but most of the time it's just him and his lightning in his fists.
And most of the time the warhammer or the staff are only in the games where they, kind of did that whole thing where every character had like some weapon type thing, which I honestly loved. I loved the game where you could change the fighting styles.
Oh, heck yeah.
And one of them was your weapon. That was a fun one. Also 3-dimensional. Okay. So, fighting styles. Nangquan and Jiu-Jitsu.
Feels so very small compared to when we did the other two.
Yeah, full stop.
I don't know. Also, after doing last week's episode of The Punisher, even he had more fighting styles.
Yeah, he did.
So now we're going to his appearances in other medias, as he appears as a secret character in some of the most random things ever.
Yeah, this first one already.
NBA Jam Tournament Edition, NFL Blitz, and then Unreal Championship 2, the Lindry conflict? I don't know. I haven't even heard of that game anyways. But just the fact that he's in a basketball and a football game.
I've heard of Unreal Championship.
No sense.
Yeah, no, it's kind of like that when they just randomly put Scorpion into the Injustice games.
I mean, that one at least made sense. He was a fighting character in a fighting game.
Yeah, true.
That makes more sense than a fighting character in a basketball game.
I was trying to defend it best I could. I didn't have a lot to work with.
But I mean, even in the second Injustice, Raiden would show up as a DLC character.
Wait, what?
Yep. Because between those two games, they had a slight story where, obviously, as we talked about with the other two characters, it's not canon to their story.
But they
had stories where, I was actually reading into it. Raiden would end up going, he was fighting someone, and he would get thrown through a portal where Shao Kahn would merge with Darkseid.
Yeah! Because I remember that was the old...
It was like Dark Khan, I think was the name.
It was like the final boss of that game.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was like... They come up with a story for it, but it still makes more sense to be in that game than the others.
True, very accurate. Would appear in select comics, even having a mini-series called Raiden and Kano. Ooh.
I read a very, very brief section of that where I guess it had something to do with Raiden saving Kano's life. And yeah, that was kind of as far as I made it in that story.
Was it just didn't seem interesting, or?
No, I just didn't finish reading it.
Oh, fair.
I read it long enough to get that name of the series.
Okay. Might have to check that one out. Okay. Appeared in the movie Mortal Kombat in 1995, portrayed by Christopher Lamberts, and would appear in the 1997 sequel Mortal Kombat. Now, I forget which actor, but one of the game designers despised, I believe, the first one who played him.
That may be why he wasn't in the sequel.
That might be it. Because I remember Okay, can we be honest about how much of a cultural appropriation that movie was? With literally casting white dudes to play an Asian character.
I mean, it was the 90s. They weren't exactly great about good casting.
Yeah, I will not argue that.
Huh? Right. He'd have been an amazing Liu Kang. Him or Bruce Lee.
Ooh, hell yeah.
I mean,
I will say though, I think Jackie Chan wouldn't have been a bad idea for Raiden now.
Yeah.
Mostly because I don't think he could have played Raiden back then. Too many goofy roles. I couldn't take him serious. Honestly, God, no. I've seen, like, the guy's got acting chops. I've seen some movies where it throws me for a loop when I see him actually act. I'm like, whoa.
Right.
Okay, let's get moving on here. We got, in the sequel, Mortal Kombat Annihilation is where he would appear again, played by James Remar. The first movie would be where he was shown only as a protector and couldn't participate in the tournament. The second movie storyline would show Raiden as the brother of Shao Kahn and the son of Shinnok. There we go. Brother of Shao Kahn.
Yeah, they had a really random story in that movie. Because, yeah, he was the brother of Shao Kahn, the son of Shinnok from the original storyline. And that's where they had the dragon tattoo, was their family crest, and it was how they traveled between realms safely.
Okay.
Yeah, those 90s Mortal Kombats, they were something. Like, yeah. I enjoyed them because they're 90s movies. You knew what you knew what you were getting.
It's the same reason I enjoy the movie Spawn. Yeah, it's
you go in knowing they're not great.
Yeah.
But they're entertaining.
It was also, it's one of those, like, when people are like, how can you watch that stuff? Because it's all we had. It's like when you go back and watch, like, some of the old superhero movies, and you're like, oh, you are hard to look at. But you're
I mean, up until some of the more recent, and even a lot of the recent ones aren't good. But it was really the only good portrayal from a video game to a movie. And that's saying a lot about how bad they've tried to transfer over medias.
Let's move on from that nightmare. Okay, yeah. Raiden was a regular in the 1996 animated series Mortal Kombat, Defender of the Realm, and was a voice by Clancy Brown.
Yeah, because I guess that was right after Clancy had appeared in... I can't think of it. There can only be one.
Oh, Highlander!
Yes, Highlander. Because that was his, I guess, what kind of pushed him to stardom. And this would be one of the first kind of voice acting roles he'd get after that.
I mean, not a bad one.
Because I guess that's kind of also how he got this role.
Going from an immortal to a god, moving up in the world. I will say I see a lot of stuff about the cartoon. I'm on YouTube a lot. And it's definitely from the 90s, but it looks watchable. It looks like a more violent G.I. Joe. Actually, it looks like G.I. Joe, except with I
love how you started to say that, and then you remember there are ninjas in G.I. Joe.
And there's soldiers. There's also cops.
Yeah, there's very little difference.
It's G.I. Joe, but in Mortal Kombat world.
Pretty much.
That's all I can say to differentiate the two. And they don't say Go Joe. Okay. Jeffrey Meek played Raiden in the live-action series Mortal Kombat Conquest, which lasted only for one season in 1998 to 1999. I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah, no, neither did I. But, it's not the first time we've found something new as we research a character. Because I'm pretty sure we've had at least one show or movie for every character so far we didn't know about.
Yeah, because I knew there was one back in the, I want to say 2010 that was supposed to come out it was an online series. So my only disappointment about that internet series or internet show that was supposed to come out about the Mortal Kombat was I had seen previews for it. And it looked amazing because what it looked like is they were taking the Mortal Kombat universe and doing what Zack Snyder did to Batman. Or no, who did the Dark Knight trilogy? Christopher Nolan did to Batman. Basically take this fantasy world but make it real. Like the guy
sounds epic.
Like the guy with the blades that come out of his arm.
Yeah.
He's a botched plastic surgeon who turns the knife on himself, messes up his face, jacks up his teeth, and literally surgically implants blades into his arms.
Yeah, no, that sounds epic.
And Scorpion, he's just literally a badass assassin who works for the Yakuza. Then I actually saw part of the first episode. And a lot of backpedaling.
Okay.
They brought in the creature. They immediately were like, that preview, you were excited for it? Yeah, we're going to take that. We're going to scrap it. We're going to try to make it like the games, but we're going to fail. Hardcore. And you should have known that because the actor who played Spawn is in this. And as great of a martial artist and actor as he is, his agent sucks.
Yeah, that sounds a little upsetting.
Yeah, I was very upset on that one. Okay, let's move on from that tragedy.
Into his kind of reception as a character.
Yes. Raiden is often included on the list of top characters of Mortal Kombat franchise. He was ranked as the 10th best character from the series by UGO Game. Or
UGO.com.
UGO.com, who praise him as one of the iconic characters from the franchise. He was 6th in Game Revolution ranking of top 10 old school Mortal Kombat characters, noting him for his gibberish and frugality. So it's frugality?
That's what I'm assuming.
Okay, we're going with frugality. Don't know what that means. Moving on. In UGO's 2012 list of top Mortal Kombat characters, Raiden placed 4th. Now, I get he is the most iconic character, but after doing all this research, it only solidified what I had a inkling of while playing the games, that this character, mind the language, sucks.
I mean, he kind of did.
Like, he's horrible at what he does. He's basically paves the road to hell with great intentions in both timelines, and he's just not good at his job.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie, I'm a fan of the franchise. I am a fan
Of most of the characters.
But also I remember playing Mortal Kombat, I think 10 or 11, and Raiden says something. I can't even remember what, but I remember I had to pause and look at the people I was playing it with. I'm like, did he just say, what did that even mean? Why is he giving cryptic answers in a military situation when we need to know what's happening? Like, I think this is the first for me. I'm not a big fan.
Yeah. Okay, so I did the research on Frugality real quick. So it was a finisher he could perform in the Sega Genesis version of Mortal Kombat 2, only on the stage of the Armory, where the defeated player's character turns into Probe Ltd employee Fergus McGovern, who worked on the port for the game. So he would essentially just use his finality to change the character into the guy who worked on the game.
Oh, that's a fun little Easter egg I didn't know about. Oh, if I had the money to get a hold of all these old games and systems, that'd be a fun one. But yeah, no, so we figured that out. I mean, Joker, what do you think? Are you a fan?
Similar to you, like, of the franchise and the majority of the characters, yeah. I don't know, as a kid, something about Raiden just never stuck with me, so I never enjoyed playing with him.
I never liked playing with his character because his character just seemed overcomplicated to use him.
Oh, God, yeah.
Anybody who was good with Raiden was generally insanely good at that game, because you had to be insanely good at abstract moves that really had no point behind them except making it difficult to do anything whatsoever.
Yeah. It was a rough character to play with.
It was. So yeah, I never really played as him. Never was a big fan. And playing through the games and stuff at one point, I'm like, this guy's dropping the ball a lot, right? Like, am I the only one here noticing this? And then, yeah, did the research. I'm like, oh, no. This guy's terrible. This guy's the worst at his job. If he worked a union job, the union could not save him.
That says a lot.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're going to end this. We're a fan of Mortal Kombat.
Just not this character.
Yep.
And that's a first for the show.
But you know what? For anyone that's still listening, if you got something out of this, enjoyed the episode, or even liked the character before from a movie, a comic, cartoon, hell, even that t-shirt that you saw one time, you're a fan too. If you want to jump on this train, why not subscribe and share with a friend? d-rael out. Y'all keep riding them rails.